Is Superman super woke?
MAGA conservatives are coming after Superman after director James Gunn said in an interview that Superman is an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country, and that he's the story of America.
You won't believe this, but mega conservatives are absolutely losing their minds, frothing at the mouth over Superman. Why? Because director James Gunn in a recent interview had the sheer audacity to declare Superman an immigrant, stating he came from other places and populated the country, and that he's the story of America. Right? And that's exactly the sentiment out there. We just want to chill, right? Go to the movie theater, grab our popcorn, maybe a supersized soda. We don't go there to be lectured or to have somebody cram their tired ideology down our throats. So, honestly, the million-dollar question is, will this thing even fly? Will it actually be a success? Or just another DC disaster? Exactly! But here's the flip side. DC fans, my friends, are hitting back hard. They're yelling, "Hold up! Superman has always been an immigrant!" And let's be real, superhero comics generally have always been political. I mean, the dude's an alien who grew up in Kansas as a refugee. It's practically woven into his DNA, you know? It's not new.
You know what it says on his cape? MS-13.
We don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and to have somebody throw their ideology onto us. I wonder if it'll be successful.
He's creating a moat of woke, enlightened opinion around him.
That was Nathan Fillion, who's playing Green Lantern, dropping that bomb to Variety after all the backlash. I gotta say, some folks really need a hug. It's just a movie, guys. A movie. Compare that to Man of Steel. Remember that one? They basically desaturated the entire film. The whole color palette was grayscale, kind of ugly and dark. And Superman's character? Much, much darker. Look, let me just say, it's not that hard to get Superman right. He's supposed to be the embodiment of everything cool, everything heroic about America. And of course, he's supposed to be charming. That's his whole deal. You don't need a faux-scale James Gunn makeover that turns him into basically Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy. Seriously, right? So, James Gunn's Superman has finally hit theaters, but instead of soaring high, this thing is barely off the ground. We're talking a jaw-dropping $300 million budget and a promo campaign that could outshine anything Marvel's done recently. This was supposed to be DC's massive comeback, the big one. But the numbers? Straight up shaky. Insiders are already sounding the alarm bells like crazy. This isn't just another weak opening, my friends. This is looking like a full-on cinematic emergency.
But DC fans are saying that Superman has always been an immigrant and that superhero comics have always been political, since he was an alien who grew up in Kansas as a refugee.
I'm an illegal immigrant, Mom.
Actor Nathan Fillion, who plays the Green Lantern, said this to Variety in an interview after the backlash.
All the hype, all the posters, the trailers, the interviews, it was all building up to this so-called rebirth of DC's most legendary hero. But now that it's here, it feels more like an overpriced wake-up call than a triumphant celebration. Exactly. And while it's apparently a good time, it's really more of a new DC Universe introduction than a standalone Superman film. People were expecting a movie that would inject new life into the entire franchise, a real shot in the arm. Instead, we've got a flick that's practically crawling out the gate, while Warner Brothers is already in full-blown damage control mode before the opening weekend numbers even officially dropped. And that, my friends, is where things start getting truly sketchy. Seriously, you're gonna settle for $500 million when you just blew over $300 million just getting it to screens for Superman? This isn't some side project, guys. We're talking about the face of DC, the launchpad for the entire new universe. This isn't just a stumble, guys. It's looking like a major, major misfire. So, let me get this straight. You're already shifting the goalposts before the game even starts? The audacity! Let's tear this apart. Officially, they're claiming the production budget was $225 million. Yeah, right. Anyone who can count past 10 knows that's a flat-out joke.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys.
But that's why people are asking.
With all the delays, the reshoots, the fancy CGI, and a non-stop marketing blitz that practically kicked down our doors for months, this thing easily soared past $425 million. Some insiders are even whispering it's flirting with the $500 million mark. It's a money pit. And now for the ultimate gut punch. The opening weekend numbers. Superman pulled in just $217 million worldwide. That's the big debut. That's the number Warner Brothers has to stare at with their morning coffee and probably a whole bottle of aspirin. After everything they poured into this movie, after all that relentless buildup, red carpets, press tours, and James Gunn's grand promises, this was the result. That number isn't just underwhelming, it's straight up embarrassing for a movie of this scale. We're not talking about some obscure indie flick here, guys. We're talking Superman, the OG superhero, the one that set the standard, the icon with a cape who's been saving the world since black and white TV. And this film couldn't even beat Ant-Man 3. Come on, just let that sink in for a second. This isn't a weird spin-off about a talking animal or a risky new franchise. This is Superman, the one every kid knows, the symbol of heroism itself. You open with him, you go all in, and this is what you get. No wonder folks in the studio are sweating bullets. James Gunn's big Superman reboot didn't just miss expectations. It couldn't even beat Quantumania. That's not just a letdown, that's straight up embarrassing. And right on cue, the PR machine kicked into overdrive.
I watched the new preview for Superman that was put out by James Gunn. The gold standard for Superman movies remains the original Superman because it gets right the idea that there's a solemnity to Superman, that he is supposed to be the embodiment of America.
It's the best Superman debut ever, they shouted. It's even ahead of Man of Steel. Yeah, no, that's not just wrong, it's provably false. And anyone buying that clearly didn't do their homework. Let's rewind the tape, shall we? One thing viewers do seem to agree on, there's a lot of humor in this movie. Some of it works, but in many scenes, it just doesn't fit the tone. Fans who've seen it are calling it average. Not amazing, not terrible, just in the middle. And that's absolutely not what you expect from a Superman reboot, right? This is the flagship. So what do you think? Is James Gunn's Superman going to soar or flop? Let us know in the comments. Back in 2013, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel launched with a $128 million domestic opening. That's right, $128 million. And remember, that was before Hollywood started counting early Thursday matinee previews as part of the weekend. Back then, opening weekend meant Friday through Sunday, period. Now, theaters are raking in numbers starting Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. and padding the totals like it's nothing.
And then the second half of the movie shifts into a more comic book, humorous mode. Man of Steel, they basically desaturate the entire film. So the entire color palette is grayscale and kind of ugly and dark, and the entire character of Superman is much darker.
So when folks try to convince you this new Superman is outpacing Man of Steel, they're either confused, bluffing, or hoping you're too distracted to notice the critical details. The real number? Gunn's Superman pulled in $122 million domestically during its debut weekend. That's $6 million less. And that's before adjusting for inflation. Once you factor that in, this reboot gets completely stomped. Absolutely demolished. And this wasn't some quiet, slow drip rollout either. We're talking about a full-on, high-voltage, global release. France, the UK, Germany, Brazil, Japan, China, Asia, it was everywhere. No excuses, no delays, just underperformance across the board. Now, compare that to Man of Steel, which only dropped in 24 international markets during its opening and still pulled in $71 million. That's wild. With fewer markets and less marketing muscle, Snyder's Superman nearly matched Gunn's worldwide numbers. And that's a decade ago. So, what's the excuse now? This wasn't just a stumble. It's starting to look like a flat-out flop. And let's not forget, Man of Steel didn't even have China during its opening weekend. That massive market release came later. So, when you stack the numbers side by side, it's crystal clear.
Let me just say that it's not that hard to get Superman right. He's supposed to be the embodiment of everything cool and heroic about America, and, of course, he's supposed to be charming as well.
Snyder's version had a staggered rollout and still pulled in better early numbers overseas. Meanwhile, Gunn's Superman had the red carpet rolled out everywhere, and audiences straight up ghosted it. Poof! Now, let's get into the excuse train because it's coming in hot and it's looking messy as hell. Now folks are saying, well, maybe it'll have legs. Oh, really? Maybe. Just like maybe Warner Brothers will suddenly figure out how to run a superhero franchise without tripping over its own feet. Or maybe that good old superhero fatigue will just magically disappear overnight. Maybe this flick will randomly double its box office haul next month because, surprise, the world just hasn't noticed it yet. Come on now, let's be real. This ain't 2012. That golden age of comic book blockbusters is long gone. We're living in 2025, and audiences are burnt out. How many times can you reboot the same hero, rehash the same origin, throw up the same shiny CGI fights, and expect people to show up? These cinematic universes are collapsing faster than they can even launch them. It's a graveyard out there. Yeah, technically a film can have legs, but in this climate, you'd better be a miracle in a cape. So far, this Superman ain't flying. It's free falling. Look at the Batman. That movie dropped with a $250 million global debut, and that was during the pandemic recovery era. No flashy multiverse gimmicks, no wild CGI explosions every 5 minutes, just a gritty detective vibe, some stylish marketing, and a name everyone knew.
That's the whole shtick. So you don't need full-scale James Gunn. He's the same character as essentially Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy, and all the jokes are the same as a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It's silly and stupid and bad. Do not like. 2 thumbs down. Very disappointed. Ugh.
It didn't need a circus to pull numbers. It earned respect, built momentum, and had legs because audiences actually vibed with it. They loved it. Now look at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That one opened similarly to Gunn's Superman in the US, but overseas, it went nuclear. Why? Because folks liked the first 2. It had goodwill. It had a fan base that showed up. And James Gunn didn't hit fans over the head with sarcasm, gotcha writing, or turning Twitter rants into plot lines. He gave people something they actually wanted to come back to. And they did. They watched it again, they talked about it, it caught fire. So let's ask the real question, my friends. Do you seriously think this new Superman flick has that same spark? That same pull? That same kind of, yo, you have to see this energy? Be honest, because from where I'm standing, the answer is a loud, resounding nope. Not even close. Even Shazam 2, yeah, the same one that crashed so hard it practically buried part of the DC brand, still had a better international opening than this Superman reboot.
If James Gunn's Superman flops, DC is done, bro. It's game over. Think about it, bro. James Gunn, he purposely restarted the entire DCEU, which makes sense because it was all over the place. There was no organization. There was no plan.
And let's be real. Shazam 2 was a straight-up flop. A comedic failure. But somehow even that drew more interest overseas than the most iconic superhero in the entire world. That's absolutely wild. You catching the pattern here? Because this ain't just about one movie bombing. It's a string of continuous misses. Warner Brothers keeps throwing money at the screen hoping for a hit, and they're coming up empty every single time. They bet big on this one. Poured in the cash, the time, the brand power. James Gunn was hyped up as the savior, the one who'd flip the whole game, the miracle worker. James Gunn was handed the crown, hailed as the new Kevin Feige, the visionary who'd revive DC and build a fresh universe from scratch. They gave him everything. Full control, total creative freedom, the keys to the kingdom. And this is what we got. A soft, shaky, lukewarm debut with zero buzz overseas. This isn't just disappointing. It's a screaming red flag dressed up in a polished press release. It's a disaster. But instead of lifting the franchise, it's splitting the room. Half the internet is dragging it, the other half's pretending it's a masterpiece. And the rest? Quietly walking away like nothing happened. And Warner Brothers, oh, they're scrambling hard, already trying to rewrite the definition of success. Suddenly, $500 million is being sold as a victory. Suddenly, breaking even is a flex. Suddenly, opening higher than Blue Beetle is something to brag about? Really? Let's cut the noise. $500 million is not a win.
Think about it. James Gunn, he has a lot of pressure on his hands, bruh. This man recasted an entire universe. And this is the beginning of a new one, right? If this movie flops, James Gunn, DC, you're done. It's game over. There's no coming back. I'm sorry. You're done.
Not when you dropped over $400 million between production and promo. Not when theaters pocket close to 50% of the box office. Not when you've promised investors a whole multiverse, interconnected DCU that hinges on this exact launch. This ain't profit. It ain't momentum. It's not even stability. This is corporate damage control, plain and simple. But hey, what do you think? Are we witnessing the glorious rebirth of DC or the painful start of another inevitable collapse? So, what's the honest verdict? Are you buying the hype, or are you seeing through the PR fog and watching this Superman crash land into box office irrelevance? Is this a new beginning, or just another overhyped studio swing that missed big time? If you're feeling the breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a single drop of truth from us. We keep it raw, real, and receipts only. No Hollywood sugarcoating over here. And trust me, while the studios keep spinning, we keep watching. Because right now, those receipts are looking brutally rough. Superman ain't leaping over anything. He might be free-falling faster than a speeding bullet. Thanks for watching, and if you want even more jaw-dropping celebrity drama and blockbuster chaos, go check out the next video popping up on your screen. It's loaded with the wildest Hollywood scandals you absolutely need to see. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.